patience, everyone. We will begin our order of business today. Thank you all for being here. We are hosting our committee of the whole meeting at the Maple Heights Board of Education. Today is May 8, 2023. We're here at the board office, 5740 Long Avenue, and our start time this evening will be 6:07 p.m. for the record. We do appreciate you all's patience with us. We are trying to transition to a new online system called Board Docs that's supposed to provide a little bit more transparency behind what it is that we're doing, how we're governing, including all of our important communications. So that way it's online and people understand the content and the nature of the context of the things that we are describing instead of just kind of just listen to us chat about it. We really want and think it's important that our citizens, that our teachers, that our parents are able to really fully understand what it is that we're doing, making sure that all that information is there for you and accessible. So thank you for your patience while we got up and running today. We are going to start with a roll call. Mr. Frazier, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Girth, Ms. Granger,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell,
Here.
Mr. Brown.
Present. Thank you. Can we please stand for a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we'll have the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion? Thank you. That motion was moved and properly seconded. Any discussion on the agenda for today? Seeing none, Mr. Frazier, can I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Granger?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes, thank you. And we will turn the floor over immediately to our superintendent for his report.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Friedrich. My report for this evening, starting with information, I'd like to start with two parts discussed by Mr. Niamke. The first part will be the Student Homework and Resource Center. As you recall, these are two areas that we need to have board approval to move forward so that we can use the ESSER dollars that we had earmarked for that money. If we don't do that, then we're going to be having to figure out how to reconfigure that money. So Mr. Niamke is going to talk first about the Student Homework and Resource Center.
Good evening, Mr. President, board members, Dr. Keenan, Mr. Friedrich. As Dr. Keenan stated, this evening, I'd like to present to you information or updates in regards to the Student Homework Resource Center renovation, as well as the Student Wellness Fitness Center renovation proposals, both taking place in the Wiley Athletic Center. Shortly, I'll distribute to you some proposed floor plans, and also some documentation that will provide a tentative timeline and some estimated cost. With me this evening is Mr. John Peterson. He would be the project manager for both of these projects, representing the GPD group. So he'll come up shortly and then walk you through the documents that I will distribute. And as Dr. Keenan stated, the hope or the overall aim here is that we could get your approval to move forward with the next phase of the process, which would be bidding these projects out and then ultimately starting the construction. So if you want to come on up, John, and I will distribute the documents. So once again, we'll discuss these one at a time, starting with the homework and resource center. One of the things that we'll discuss is that we did obtain student input as we move forward with the planning of these projects. So the students who participated in the superintendent's student committee had an opportunity to provide some thoughts and input as to what they thought this particular center should look like. Mark Curtis was also part of that conversation. And while we couldn't put everything that the students wanted, there's just not enough physical space to make that happen. We think we did a good job of capturing what the students had in mind for the homework center. So we'll start there, and then I'll kind of turn the microphone over here to John, and he'll walk you through the documents you have.
Okay, thank you, Marta. Yeah, John Peterson with GPD Group, project manager and architect. Thank you for having me this evening. Been working with the Wata and Mark and others to develop the Homework Student Resource Center. And I'd like to present that this evening. You've got the plans in front of you. So the plan here that you're all familiar with the space that we're working with, the former wrestling, way back in the States, these music spaces. But we've developed a plan here that really captures the needs of the students. But we've walked you through the space here. What we're developing is proposing an entrance from the exterior with a sidewalk that connects to the plaza over adjacent to the high school. So there'll be a separate entrance with a security vestibule for check-ins, with a reception desk at the entry for secured check-ins. To the left side here, we have the homework student resource center with a lot of flexible furnishings, a lot of different areas for collaboration, independent study, just kind of some areas to kind of chill out a bit, and then have along the upper portion here have some computer stations. As you see some of the little snippets here of the various furnishings that we're proposing that have some nice comfy sofas and beanbag chairs and just some comfortable furnishings. And then adjacent to the vestibule, we have a small group room, which we're looking to have like a conference table with video in there for more student collaboration. We're developing both the men's and women's individual restrooms, so it's kind of self-contained unit. And then over to the right side is the esports lab, where there'll be multiple gaming stations with the gaming type chairs with the gaming computers, and having a lot of video along the walls, as well as the having some exciting graphics in there with the Mustangs graphics and what have you in there, along with some seating, some comfy seating for spectators.
Before you move on, John, I would like to just elaborate a little bit on the EA Sports section. So that was one of the ideas that the students presented about having this gaming space. And as we were doing our research, we discovered that there are actually teams, EA Sports teams at schools. Bedford has one, Warrensville has one. Mr. Curtis and I traveled to University of Akron. They actually have 3 gaming centers there. And they're actually a hub where a lot of the high schools who participate in this EA Sports gaming come to compete. Mr. Curtis and also Mr. Schaefer, one of the IT workers, also went to Bedford and took a look at their particular program and got additional information on this EA Sports. So it's a great opportunity for our students if we're able to move forward with this and implement this program. And students are actually getting scholarships, college scholarships for EA gaming. And that was something that was new to us. So there's certainly, some great opportunities here if we can get students engaged and participating in these EA Sports. John?
Yeah, in addition to all this, we're looking at new flooring, be carpet throughout, along with some LVT flooring and nice finishes for the ceramic tile and restrooms. Developing new ceilings with all LED lighting. Redoing all the HVAC system within that space for replacing the air handler. There's another condensing unit outside here. We'll be replacing all that, and then obviously bringing in the plumbing for the restrooms and having a water cooler. We are also closing off one entrance here and just having a single door here for egress. We need to have 2 means of egress out of here, and then an egress door out of the sports lab, but otherwise trying to keep things self-contained, and then to the Homework Student Resource Center. With all this, we put a preliminary opinion of probable cost for this work at about $1.6 million. We will be, as we develop our documents towards the end of May here, we'll kind of turn things over to our estimating consultants We'll do a cost estimate and kind of see where we're at, to validate where we're at and see if we're in line with where we're anticipating and see if we need to make the adjustments or if we're good to go. But we'll get an estimate probably about mid-June.
If you take a look at the second page of the 8.5 by 11 handout, you'll see a preliminary schedule there, which kind of outlines the dates as to when certain steps in the process would take place.
And with your approval to proceed with the bidding documents, we anticipate being complete with those documents around the end of August and be able to go out to bid in September, receive bids, and get a general contractor under award, under contract in around October. We anticipate phases to run by.
All John gave you this evening does not include the hardware, the technology hardware and accessories in the center. So we will be responsible for taking care of the costs beyond ESSER. We're taking care of the cost of the monitors, the PC computers, and any accessories. And I've had some conversation with Dr. Keenan as well as Dr. Friedrich in terms of covering those costs through general fund. At this time, any questions on the homework or student resource center that John or I can answer or entertain?
I think that's mass a conference, and I actually met a gentleman who literally is working here. More of a common thing than it is uncommon. Just small question I have. One is about marketing. Is that like the most feasible option with like cleaning and all those things? Yeah.
And to get kind of in the entry area and the more traffic area, using like the LEDs.
Okay. And not less throughout.
People. So yeah, where the high traffic is. And we typically use carbon tile like what you have here.
Sure.
Change those tile.
Okay, I see here that the number that was presented includes the furniture package as well. So that part would be, that's great.
Is the loose furnishing, just the for the gaming stations, that would be out of the general fund.
Okay. I know we kind of a little bit further from COVID now, but the timeline looks like fantastic. You don't foresee any challenges with like supply chain, getting materials, the things that you already kind of planned for at least now? Assess as we go. Okay. Board members?
I know you said at the front entrance is for like a security desk and receptionist. Is there anywhere in the inside, like where you'll have an office for whoever might be responsible for watching the kids while they're in there? Or a space or where we can include that? Because we just don't want, our kids free to roam and doing whatever they could possibly come up with if they in there by themselves.
When the upper section of that floor plan, which used to be the practice rooms, if you recall, that used to be the band and choir space,
Yeah,
those rooms still exist. There's 4 rooms there.
okay,
One of those rooms currently is the server room for that building or space, but we do intend on utilizing one of those other spaces as office space.
okay.
These rooms here already exist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right here.
Okay, I was looking at that story, so I was like, okay.
One of them will use schools, but already exists. Probably need a little bit of paint, and those spaces can be used as offices.
Scholarship. So I just want to make sure that you're doing this gaming room and this gaming plan here, that somewhere there is some type of curriculum to tie it in where our students are actually getting credit. So they'll be able to receive these scholarships because this scholarship program that is at Ohio State and all these other big colleges, it is very big and it pays for, a 4-year scholarship. I mean, so and the kids can make really good money when they go to school. So not just having it as a recreational purpose, we need to make sure that we are including this into a curriculum program so our kids are going to get the 100% benefit out of what we're building right here.
Yes, if approved, you mentioned, so that we have somebody who understands how to run the curriculum and to support not just the curricular part of it, but the extracurricular as well. So we intend on, once you guys decide on whether we can move forward with this, looking at that. And, obviously the time frame of when it happens will determine when we get somebody in. So we won't obviously hire somebody next year while we're in the process of, building. But, following that, we would look for hiring somebody for that purpose. Before we proceed, I'd like us to have just some assurances that you want us to go ahead and move forward with this part of it, because at this point, we're going to start spending money. And, and if we don't spend the money, it's ESSER money, and we have like $1.6 million dedicated for this. We need to obviously figure out what else to do with that money if we're not going to do it. So if you guys are okay with us to move forward, we'd like to, get a commitment so we can start doing something. Okay.
So let's hear the second part of the presentation.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Format. Second part of our presentation. On the handout that I gave you, and then on the second page of the larger document, kind of gives you a proposed floor plan for that. Very similar to what we did for the Student Homework and Resource Center. We did put together a student committee for the Student Wellness and Fitness Center. That committee included 4 students from Milkovich Middle School, 4 students from Maple Heights High School. Both groups of students were selected by the school's principal. And then also that committee included Michael Mazurkowitz, one of the teachers at the high school, and the assistant athletic director, Dr. Shay Price, principal of the high school, as well as Corin Collier, who is also a high school teacher and track coach. Very similar to the situation that we have with the Homework Center. Our students had a lot of ideas, unfortunately, more ideas than our space could support. But once again, I think we did a great job of trying to capture some of the key things that the students wanted to see in this space.
So we weren't able to get that track around.
Unfortunately, not. And that was proposed to the student committee as well. I'll now turn things over to John, and he'll walk you through the layout and other scopes of the project.
And we'll fit in it's great you have an opportunity to develop the auditorium and repurpose it into a very useful space. And I think we got a good opportunity here that we can, well, I guess first to get this prepared for the Student Wellness Center. We need to kind of take everything out that used to be the pool. So now we got the pool equipment to remove. We have a pool that we need to cover with structural steel and concrete to make a nice level slab throughout the space. We do have the concrete bleachers on either side. The grandstands also be removed, so we kind of have a clean slate on the floor and some of the walls, and then remove all the existing light fixtures and lots of things to get things prepared for. Walking through, coming from the entry off the parking lot, north of the Wiley Athletic Center. Towards here, we have a receptionist station there, which will access for the entrance to get checked in. Part of the doors for intercom and that kind of thing. Proper check-ins. As you come in, to the right side there, there's existing men's locker rooms. We intend to develop that into change the restroom and change rooms. So that place will be fully renovated. Further into space here. Ping pong tables, air hockey, casual seating area, some lockers and vending machines, place all the water coolers with water coolers, bottle fillers, and then as we get into the center of the space here, we have areas for training, synthetic turf for doing sprinting. Down to the lower area here, we have several treadmills, up to 12 treadmills, up to 8 ellipticals. Sections. Here, behind the reception area. Separate space here for that's needs for electrical or technology. We've got a space for up to 30 people. LVT flooring here. We've got this LVT flooring in the more common area, but then the rubber athletic flooring for weight training. In addition to all we've seen here, replace the mechanical systems that we all need space, new lighting, LED lighting, replace the lighting sconces that are on the walls. There's a lot of wood sladding, acoustic panels in there. We'll be working that fresh. Space like this can be very lively. You want it to be lively, but you want to be able to be something that office, there's an existing office that's off the pool deck area over the main deck. So it's located
Point out, unlike the Student Homework and Resource Center, the proposed budget for the Wellness Center does not include furnishings. Doesn't include the game tables or any of the equipment as well.
It'll include like, just the, like the seating area over here, those kind of furnishings would be included, but yeah, like let's say the equipment, the weight training equipment, the ellipticals, and those kind of things are outside of the scope of the $3.5 million preliminary opinion of probable cost. Again, we'll validate that with our estimating consultant in June.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Already started.
Need to look and see how much general fund money you're going to be dipping into to actually fill and pay for all of this expectation of furniture, machines, and as far as where is the money going to be coming from for the merchandise to fill the store that is in here? Where would that money be coming from?
Our plan is to work with Dr. Griffin, who already has a similar store in the high school, so we could work with him and through the marketing program to provide the things in that particular location.
So you using that budget that they have, that you're gonna allocate, or are you using general fund dollars to buy the merchandise for this store?
The store, I was anticipating using the student activity fund that already uses for the existing store. They would just kind of have a second location.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Blackwell, I didn't think about it till after you asked the question, and I looked at this with a different set of lenses here, but I guess when you look at this aisleway, you kind of got a walking path there. You didn't expect or anticipate, but it kind of gives you a circle there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you adding, the yoga studio, how are you adding to have instructors? What the hours are, who's gonna be there working? Is this, how are we hiring these people to run these programs that you guys have here? As far as the design, that's what I'm looking at, the cost of, of the people that we gonna have here.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but I was looking at this, it's like, yes, it's a yoga studio on this paper, but it's gonna be open space. So
Activities.
Riley's point is again, more so about the programming, how we
Yeah.
kind of get it.
And how are we actually,
So those would be some things that I would like you guys to think about.
because this looks nice and beautiful on paper, but all of these ideals that we have here, we have to be able to sustain these programs for these students that we are building this for. So we build it and then we're not able to sustain it. We just got dead space there. So that's another thing that we need to be thinking about, because we got to be able to produce this for our students, and it's got to be a longevity. It's not like we're just gonna do this for 1 year or 2 years and then we can't sustain this. So yes. So before we all these parts has to be thought out and need to be on paper, so we can actually see what it is that we are spending money for, how much the total price of this project is going to cost, and the price of employment as far as having people, teachers and staff there to be able to sustain the productivity and the operation of these sites. I don't, that's why, yeah, that's why they need to look and say if they need all this, if you need all this.
No, I was just asking because
Yeah.
it's two locker rooms. They look like at the top and then at the bottom. Am I looking at that right?
Yeah, top and bottom, and we got two up to the side too.
Yeah, do we need all those locker rooms?
So
or-
the areas in the upper right-hand corner are, those have your toilets, those are more restrooms, you can do changing there. The one that's a little bit below that is more of a locker area, not a locker room per se. So there would be lockers there. That would be for a situation, you've got your shorts under your jogging pants, you just want to pull your jogging pants off and throw them in a locker. There are no lockers in the actual area where the restrooms are.
Freshman football locker room and then the track.
Oh,
It says the existing locker room.
apologize.
It looked like they're part.
They're not part of
They're
it.
not. Those
Yeah.
are existing spaces
Oh, okay, okay.
that are utilized by the football team and other athletic programs.
Right.
At this point, we don't have an exact answer to that. We have to work with the fire department and they'll come in and advise us as to what the appropriate room capacity is.
Sound systems or anything. Is that
Yes, we will be meeting with our technology consultant here next week to kind of work through some of the details of what systems that will be in the space, but the anticipation there'd be a sound system within the wellness area, there'd be, a sound system within the yoga studio. Yeah, so there'd be opportunities there for sound as well as video, a lot of monitors on the walls as you're on your elliptical and.
The yoga studio, is it set up just for regular yoga or is it set up to do hot yoga also?
So.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Some needs there.
all right.
But this, what I'm hearing is that the board, you'd like us to come back and provide answers to some of the questions that were posed relative to the Student Wellness and Fitness Center, correct? Okay. And then where do we stand relative to the homework and resource center? Do you have additional questions there, or are we in a position where we can move forward with that?
I'm good with that.
Do it.
Okay.
This information that was presented to us, just like plans and stuff, to be put on the website, so that way, everybody else can see like just some of these initial plans and maybe opportunity to offer feedback, because again, like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity that we will have to do it. And I don't want it to be perceived as anything less than trying to provide opportunities for our students while we have it.
All the
We
four
can
plans
pay,
that you have and the documentation you have, we have it in electronic format, so we can work with Ms. McCants and arrange to have that placed on the website.
thank you.
There's a short window of time of opportunity here. And if we don't take advantage of it sometime this month, we're gonna be where we might not be able to be.
That,
Okay.
their money, their kids, I think that's so important. That will also give us more to consider as we move forward. When we're talking about, if we gotta act something, or we have opportunity to add something, I think the the feedback and the insight that we gain will help us to kind of make those decisions. Because one of the things that I'm not 100% sure what my board colleagues think is that, again, we will like to see, new spaces, vibrant spaces as more utilized. Like to Riley's point, can we sustain the program, and can we kind of sustain some of the things that that we have ideas for, if you will. I think all of that will just give us a little bit more insight. So, thank you. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so for this evening, I'm making recommendations under the superintendent recommendations, 1 through 6, and under personnel recommendations. Those personnel recommendations will go on my first ask from 1 through 9. So there'll be superintendent recommendations 1 through 6, personnel recommendations 1, and we'll stop at 9.
Thank you, Dr. Pena. Board members, Dr. Pena has given his report. He's also asking for the following recommendations, items 1 through 6, as well as personnel items number 1 through 9. Can I have a motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. That motion was moved and properly seconded. Any discussion, board members? Seeing none, Mr. Preacher, can I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Granger,
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you.
So Mr. Brown had asked for, make a recommendation under personnel number 10 for your consideration.
Board members, the superintendent is asking for the recommendation, personnel recommendation 10A. Can I have a motion, please? Thank you. Can I have a second? Thank you. That motion was properly moved and seconded. Any discussions on the matter? Seeing none, Mr. Preacher, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Blackwell,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
No.
Ms. Granger,
No.
Mr. Brown.
No.
Thank you. Board. Before we conclude my part, I'd like to just acknowledge that one of your votes this evening was for our new high school principal, Dr. Markel Perkins, who's here with us this evening. I'd like to ask Mr. Perkins, or Dr. Perkins, come to the podium and address the board.
Good evening, members of Maple Heights City School Board, Mr. President, Dr. Keenan. You obviously heard my little one walking through the hallway there, future Mustang, and myself. I'm proud to say, and just on your vote, that I look forward to being the next principal of Maple Heights High School. I'm very excited for this opportunity. The thing that drew me to this community and to the school is it's about family and about your team you have here, and you're definitely on the rise here. And I think I have a lot to offer and bring to Maple. So I'm very, very excited about that. I love the idea of the student center, homework work center, and that EA Sports, which is big now. It is coming up. And so I appreciate you all. I appreciate you entrusting me with this huge responsibility. We look forward to it. My family and I really thank you for that. I just wanted to make sure I'm here. I'm going to take leave in a little bit because he's roaming around the hallways here. But I did speak to Dr. Keenan and say I did need to get some more maroon. So I will be, Mr. President, I also talked to you about this. We'll get on the team site and get rolling. I was in the military. I was prior military 11 years. So there's one thing, I'm always ready. That's what the Coast Guard's motto is. Okay. And I know that there are core values for our high school. And I know the standard's high and I know the bar's high. I just want to tell you, I'm going to be working for this community. I appreciate this opportunity and know that I will not let you down. Okay. Being prepared, being respectful, right? Being involved, being determined, and being engaged. I do know that and I live that. So just know that we're going to be ready. We're going to hit the ground running. All right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you. All right.
So much. and Welcome to
So much.
Maple Heights.
Thank you.
Take my office out here.
Take him to the track and run around. You're all right. Right. All right, next we are going to move into any reports that board members may have. Okay. I do not, we don't see no reports. I don't have a report. I do have an announcement. My official announcement is that I am going to be resigning effective June 12th will be my last board meeting. We're going to talk to the board members about how do we replace the seat and, you know, post a vacancy for the remainder of the school year. It's bittersweet, you know, coming to school and being raised in the Maple Heights community, coming back to teach and to be able to serve in this role and capacity has definitely been an honor and a privilege. So yeah, working with all of you, our parents, and seeing outcomes for our students. You know, there's a lot of successful hard work that's been going on here in Maple Heights, and people are noticing it. And I think it's because of, you know, it is our team, you know, oriented values that we have, and making sure that we're always asking ourselves, like, how do we get better, not just for ourselves personally, but for our students and for our overall community. Maple Heights will always have a special place in my heart. And I will make sure that I'm here to support our board members as they move forward, Dr. King and Mr. Friedrich as they lead, and I'm still friends and a brother and a sister to many of you. So I wanted to say thank you all for allowing me to serve this school year and for the past 4 years on the school board. It has really meant a lot. So thank you all. At this time, we will move into our visitor participation session for today. If there's anyone who would like to address the board, you can come to the podium. You can just give your name, your address, and you can share. Okay, seeing none, thank you. Next, we will go into executive session for matters of personnel, and that's it, right? Can I have a motion? That motion was moved and properly seconded. Our time 6. Any discussions before we go? No, can I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Granger,
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes, motion carried. We are now in executive session at 6:50. No action will be taken. Thank you all for your coming tonight. We appreciate it. Have a good night.